What would happen if you decided to live on Mars? Well, first of all, you would immediately become the coolest person in your neighborhood, mainly because your neighborhood would now consist of precisely 0 people, unless you count the robots. And I don't think the rovers are great at hosting welcome parties. Now, the short answer is you die. That's not very uplifting, so let's give the longer answer, which is more complicated and, frankly, more entertaining. Imagine you step off your shiny spaceship and onto the rusty surface of the red planet. You take a deep breath. And then you realize that was a mistake, because Mars has no oxygen to speak of. Its atmosphere is thin, about 1% the pressure of Earth's, and it's made mostly of carbon dioxide. So unless your idea of a healthy lifestyle is suffocating while freezing, you're going to need a spacesuit, permanently. Speaking of freezing, let's talk about the weather. Mars is cold. Really cold. The average temperature is about minus 60 degrees Celsius, though at the equator during midday it might creep up to a pleasant 0. That sounds manageable until you remember the nights plunge back into deep freeze territory. So, yes, bring a sweater. Or, better yet, bring a nuclear reactor. But cold and suffocation are just the opening act. The real fun begins when you try to drink a glass of water. On Mars, water doesn't behave the way you expect. With so little air pressure, liquid water just boils away, or freezes, almost instantly. So, your glass of water would either vanish in a puff of steam, or transform into a sad ice cube. Thirsty yet? Food is another small inconvenience, because Mars doesn't have any. No trees, no fields of wheat, not even a cactus. The soil is filled with nasty chemicals called perchlorates, which are toxic. If you try to plant carrots, you'll end up with poisonous, crunchy little death sticks. NASA has ideas about filtering the soil, but until then, you better pack a lot of snacks. Preferably snacks that don't mind sitting in a spaceship for months on end. Okay, let's assume you solved the food, the water, the air, and the temperature. Congratulations, you're now alive. But are you comfortable? No, not really. Mars is dusty. Very dusty. The dust is fine, clingy, and gets into everything. It can scratch your lungs, jam your machines, and cover your solar panels until they stop working. Imagine living in a house where sand constantly blows in through the windows, except the sand is electrostatically charged and slightly poisonous. And then there's gravity. Mars has about 1/3 of Earth's gravity. At first, that sounds amazing. You could jump 3 times higher. You'd feel light, graceful, almost heroic. But your muscles and bones would not be impressed. They would slowly weaken because they evolved for Earth's stronger pull. Unless you spend your Martian mornings in a gym designed by NASA, you'll end up with wobbly legs and brittle bones. You might be able to dunk a basketball, but your skeleton might snap when you land. What about the view? At least you'll get stunning sunsets. The sky on Mars turns bluish at dusk because of the way fine dust scatters light. It's hauntingly beautiful. On the downside, you'll never actually see Earth rise, the way astronauts on the moon can. Earth is just another bright star in the Martian sky. Romantic, yes, but also a little lonely. And don't forget about radiation. Without a thick atmosphere or a global magnetic field, Mars offers about as much protection from cosmic rays as a paper umbrella in a thunderstorm. You'd be bombarded constantly with radiation, slowly increasing your risk of cancer or, at the very least, giving your DNA some interesting new spelling errors. Living underground, inside caves or thick domes, might help. But then you're basically a mole person on Mars. So, is there any good news? Yes, actually. Mars does have some water locked up in polar ice caps and underground. It has day and night cycles similar to Earth's, about 24.5 hours long. So your circadian rhythm won't go completely insane. And it has mountains, valleys, and canyons that make the Grand Canyon look like a sidewalk crack. Valles Marineris, for example, is over 4,000 kilometers long. Imagine the hiking trails, assuming you don't mind that a single hike could last a lifetime. And perhaps most importantly, Mars is a blank canvas. There are no cities, no traffic, no landlords. If you set up a dome and call it Bobtown, congratulations. You're now the mayor, the governor, and the president of Mars, at least until Elon Musk shows up with his own dome and tries to charge rent. In the end, deciding to live on Mars isn't really about comfort. It's about survival, exploration, and maybe a little bit of showing off. Humanity will probably get there one day, and the first settlers will suffer, adapt, and slowly transform Mars into something less deadly and more habitable. But if you personally decided to go right now, with no preparation, well, let's just say the first Martian would also become the first Martian fossil. So, what would happen if you decided to live on Mars? You'd struggle, you'd suffer, you'd probably fail, but you'd also be part of the most ambitious adventure in human history. And maybe, just maybe, that's worth the risk.